The world stood still as a strange hum filled the air. High above the Earth's atmosphere, something massive was unfolding, something humanity had never seen before. A vast fleet of alien ships, their cloaking devices flickering like stars in the night sky, began to emerge. Their sleek, metallic surfaces shimmered in the distance as they silently descended toward Earth. The peaceful blue planet below was unaware of the impending doom. The invaders were preparing for a war. Earth had no way of defending itself. The humans, caught off guard and outclassed, watched helplessly as these alien ships circled the planet. There were thousands of them. Each ship was a massive fortress, equipped with weapons far beyond anything humans had ever seen. High-tech drones swarmed the atmosphere, scanning every corner of the world. These drones moved quickly, silently, their robotic eyes searching for signs of resistance, ensuring no human could escape or hide from the alien forces. The aliens were confident, too confident. To them, Earth was nothing but an easy conquest, a weak planet full of primitive creatures that could be dominated without resistance. On the ground at Earth's command center, Captain Luke Miller stood at attention. His face was grim as he watched the alien ships from the giant screen in front of him. The lights in the command center were dim, the atmosphere tense. His mind raced, analyzing every detail, every possibility. His team was ready, their gear packed, their weapons in place, but something about the situation felt different. The aliens had no reason to fear Earth. They saw humans as little more than ants, easy to squash, easy to manipulate. They had underestimated humanity before, and Captain Miller knew that would be their downfall. Luke wasn't like the others. While everyone else was consumed by panic and fear, he remained calm and focused. He had seen war before. He had fought in battles that seemed impossible to win. But this time, the stakes were different. The aliens, with their advanced technology and powerful weapons, were an entirely new breed of enemy. Yet, Luke had something that the aliens did not understand: human determination. As the camera panned over the control room, the tension in the air was thick. Officers barked orders into their radios, trying to make sense of the chaotic situation. But Luke stood still, watching, his jaw clenched. He could feel the weight of the moment, the weight of responsibility. This wasn't just a battle for Earth. It was a battle for the survival of the human race. Captain Miller turned to his team. His voice was low, but there was an undeniable authority in it. "We don't have the firepower to go head-to-head with them," he said. "We can't beat them with brute force, but we have something they don't." His team looked at him, puzzled. They had just spent hours watching alien ships invade the skies, knowing they were on the brink of total destruction. "What do you mean, sir?" asked Lieutenant Emma Rogers, her eyes wide with disbelief. "They'd got thousands of ships, superior technology. We're outgunned." Luke smiled faintly, a glimmer of confidence in his eyes. "We're not going to fight them head-on," he said. "Instead, we're going to do something they never expected." His words hung in the air for a moment, and the tension in the room grew even heavier. "The aliens are arrogant," Luke continued. "They think we're weak. They think we're nothing. But we have a secret weapon, something they've never encountered before. A weapon so powerful, it could turn this war in our favor." The officers exchanged confused glances. They had no idea what he was talking about. He walked over to the map on the wall, his fingers tapping against it as he traced the path to the heart of the alien forces. "We're going to infiltrate their homeworld, deep into their territory. And we're going to tame one of their apex predators." The room went silent. No one spoke. Some of the officers looked at each other, unsure whether to laugh or question their captain's sanity. "Apex predators?" Emma finally asked, her voice laced with disbelief. "You want us to take on one of their legendary creatures? These things are monsters, unstoppable killing machines." Luke nodded, his expression unchanged. "Yes. The aliens rely on these creatures for power and control. They fear them, and they respect them. But we're going to turn that fear into our advantage. If we can tame one of their apex predators, We can change the course of this war. It sounded insane, but Luke believed in it. The aliens had never faced a force like humanity, and they had no idea what humans were capable of when they fought with everything they had. These predators were symbols of alien strength, but to Luke, they represented a rare opportunity. The humans had already seen what the aliens thought of them. Weak, insignificant, helpless. But what if they could turn that perception around? What if, just by controlling one of their monsters, they could shake the aliens to their core? "We have no time to waste," Luke said, breaking the silence. "We're going to hit them hard where it hurts. They'll never expect it." The plan was simple, almost absurd. Instead of launching a full-scale counterattack with their limited resources, they would send a small elite team to the alien homeworld. Their mission: infiltrate the alien planet, find one of their apex predators, and tame it. If they succeeded, they would return to Earth, and the alien forces would never view humans as weak again. If they failed, the entire human race would be doomed. Luke's team, including Emma, Sergeant Ray Daniels, and Corporal Mia Fisher, looked at each other, still uncertain but trusting in their captain. They had fought alongside Luke before, and they knew he was a man who always had a plan. They had followed his orders through thick and thin, and they would do it again, no matter how impossible the task seemed. As they prepped for the mission, the tension in the room was palpable. This wasn't just a mission. It was humanity's last hope. The aliens were waiting, watching from their ships. Their arrogance was their weakness, and Luke knew that if they could surprise the invaders with their bold strategy, they might just have a chance. But as the team made their final preparations, doubts crept into their minds. The task ahead was daunting. They were about to face one of the deadliest creatures in the galaxy, and the alien homeworld was a place filled with unimaginable dangers. Even if they succeeded in capturing the predator, how would they return to Earth? What would happen when they confronted the alien fleet with this weapon by their side? The air in the command center grew heavy as the last preparations were made. The team was about to board the shuttle that would take them to the heart of the alien empire. Luke, however, remained calm. His eyes never wavered from the task at hand. He knew that this was humanity's last shot, and no matter what happened, they had to give everything they had. As the shuttle doors closed, the team took their positions. They were no longer just soldiers. They were humanity's last hope. The alien fleet loomed over them like a shadow, its presence a constant reminder of what was at stake. The shuttle's engines roared to life, lifting them into the unknown. They were headed straight for the heart of the alien empire. And as they ascended into space, one question hung in the air. Would they succeed in taming the apex predator? Or was this mission a suicide mission? Only time would tell. The shuttle cut through the harsh winds as it descended toward the alien planet. The view outside the window was nothing like Earth. There were no oceans or green landscapes. Instead, a barren, rocky surface stretched endlessly below, and thick clouds filled the sky, casting a dim, ominous light over the planet. This wasn't just an alien world. It was a hostile, unforgiving environment, one that humans had never encountered before. The air was thin and toxic, and the temperature fluctuated wildly. The planet was constantly ravaged by storms, violent winds that seemed to tear apart anything in their path, and lightning strikes that would vaporize anything caught in the open. The shuttle's systems whined as it fought against the turbulence, but Captain Luke Miller remained calm, his eyes fixed on the view ahead. He knew that once they landed, everything would change. The team had trained for this moment, but no amount of preparation could fully ready them for what awaited. They were on enemy soil now, and the clock was ticking. The alien fleet was still in orbit above, monitoring their every move. The aliens expected the humans to fail, to be crushed by the planet's harsh conditions, and to be destroyed by the wild, deadly creatures that roamed the surface. They believed they had already won. But Luke wasn't like the aliens. He knew that humanity's true strength didn't lie in technology or numbers. It lay in their spirit. The aliens had underestimated the human will to survive, and Luke was determined to prove them wrong. This mission was humanity's last chance, and he couldn't afford to fail. The shuttle touched down with a jolt, the harshness of the landing only adding to the tension. The team scrambled to gather their equipment as the hatch opened with a hiss, releasing a cloud of toxic fumes into the air. They quickly sealed their helmets and stepped out onto the alien soil, their boots sinking slightly into the dust. The landscape was bleak. Mountainous rock formations rose sharply from the ground, jagged and unforgiving. The wind howled, carrying with it the scent of sulfur and something far worse. There was no sign of life. No plants, no animals, just a barren wasteland. Luke gave the order to move out, and the team began their trek across the hostile landscape, their suits protecting them from the harsh air. As they walked, they could feel the weight of the alien world pressing down on them, the atmosphere thick with danger. The alien fleet loomed above them, a constant reminder of what was at stake. But Luke was focused, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of movement. They were heading for the apex predator's habitat, a place rumored to be home to the deadliest creature in the galaxy. If they could capture it, they might just have a chance at turning the tide of the war. The journey was far from easy. The terrain was uneven, and the storm clouds above rumbled ominously, threatening to unleash a violent downpour at any moment. Strange noises echoed from the distance, unsettling the team. They were surrounded by the unknown. But it wasn't just the environment that posed a threat. It was the creatures that lived on this planet. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and a low growl reverberated through the air. Before anyone could react, a massive shape leaped from the shadows, a predator, covered in scales and sporting razor-sharp claws. It was fast, faster than any human could react. The creature lunged at the team with terrifying speed, its jaws snapping shut just inches from Lieutenant Emma Rogers. In an instant, chaos erupted. The soldiers fired their weapons, their guns blasting plasma rounds into the beast's thick hide. But the creature didn't seem to slow down. It was relentless, attacking with savage fury. Sergeant Ray Daniels swung his rifle, trying to keep the creature at bay, but it was no use. The predator was too fast, too strong. In the midst of the battle, Private Bonner, a young soldier with fire in his eyes, saw the situation spiraling out of control. The creature was too close to Emma, and she was on the ground, struggling to get back to her feet. Without thinking, Bonner lunged forward, tackling the creature and pulling it away from Emma. The alien beast screeched, twisting in his grip, but Bonner held on, using his body to shield his teammates. "Get out of here," Bonner yelled, his voice strained with effort. "I've got this." Emma, Ray, and Mia tried to pull him back, but it was too late. Bonner had already made his choice. With one final roar of defiance, Bonner held the creature at bay, allowing the others to escape. His sacrifice gave the team the time they needed to regroup, but it came at a heavy cost. Bonner's life was lost in an instant, and his sacrifice sent a wave of shock and grief through the group. "Bonner," Mia cried, her voice breaking as she tried to reach him. But the creature was too much. In a final blood-curdling screech, it tore into him, ending the young soldier's life. The team watched in stunned silence, the weight of Bonner's sacrifice settling heavily on their hearts. They had lost one of their own, and it would not be the last time. But Luke knew they had no choice but to press on. They couldn't afford to mourn now, not when they were so close to their goal. "We'll make it count," Luke said, his voice low but filled with determination. "For Bonner, we keep going." The team nodded solemnly, but they knew that the road ahead would only get harder. Bonner's sacrifice had changed them. They were no longer just soldiers on a mission. They were a family, and they would fight for each other. They would fight for humanity's survival. As they continued their journey, the tension between the soldiers began to grow. The further they ventured into the alien world, the more isolated they felt. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows, their eyes glowing in the dark. Every step they took seemed to draw them deeper into the heart of enemy territory. And the closer they got to the apex predator's lair, the more doubts began to creep into their minds. Are we even going to make it? Emma asked quietly, her voice tinged with fear. What if we're not ready for this? What if we fail? Ray turned to her, his face hard. We don't have a choice, he said, his tone cold. We can't go back now. If we fail, it's not just us who die. It's everyone on Earth. Luke glanced at them, his expression unchanged. We'll make it. Trust me. But even as he said the words, he couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. The further they traveled, the more hostile the environment became. The air was getting thinner, and the storms were growing more violent. They were running out of time, and there was no turning back now. As the team approached the predator's lair, the tension reached its peak. The feeling of being watched grew stronger, and the ground beneath them seemed to pulse with energy. They were no longer just facing an alien planet. They were facing the full force of its deadliest inhabitants. The mission was no longer just about taming a beast. It was about survival. It was about proving that humanity could stand against the overwhelming power of the aliens, even in the face of death. And as they stepped into the predator's domain, they knew they had to succeed, or everything would be lost. The end of this chapter was drawing near, but the hardest part of the journey was still ahead of them. Would they survive? Would they succeed? Or would the apex predator be their final challenge? Only time would tell. The journey through the alien world had been long, exhausting, and filled with danger. But the human team finally reached their destination. A massive cave system nestled deep within the heart of the planet's most hostile region. The air here was thick with a strange, unnatural energy. The ground was rocky, jagged, and unstable, each step taken carefully as the team moved deeper into the cave. As they made their way toward the heart of the lair, they noticed something extraordinary, glowing flora that illuminated the path ahead, casting eerie shadows along the walls. The plants seemed alive, pulsating with an energy that didn't feel entirely natural. It was as though the entire environment was alive, waiting for something. Luke led the way, his face grim with determination. The team was exhausted, worn from the harsh environment, and still haunted by the loss of Bonner. They had come so far, but their mission was far from over. The apex predator, the key to humanity's survival, was somewhere ahead, and they had to find it before the alien fleet above realized their true plan. The stakes had never been higher. As they rounded a corner, the cave opened into a vast chamber. The air was thick with a palpable sense of danger, and every soldier could feel it. The presence of something massive, something powerful, something that had been waiting for them. At first, there was nothing, just the echo of their footsteps and the distant rumble of the storm outside. But then, out of the shadows, it appeared. The apex predator was like nothing they had ever seen. It was enormous, towering over them. Its body a mix of organic and synthetic components. Its scales glinted in the eerie light, shimmering with a strange, unnatural energy. The creature's body was sleek, built for speed and power, but its eyes were the most unsettling part. They glowed with an otherworldly light, and beneath that glow, there was something cold and intelligent, a calculating, deadly force. The creature was an AI-engineered hybrid, a perfect killer, designed by the aliens to be a symbol of their power and superiority. The team froze in place, fear coursing through their veins. It was everything they had been warned about, and more. This wasn't just any beast. This was the embodiment of the alien race's technological prowess, the ultimate weapon. They had come here to tame it, to prove that humanity was not weak, that they could stand against the invincible. But now, standing face to face with the predator, the reality of their mission hit harder than ever before. Luke didn't hesitate. His eyes never left the creature as it slowly moved forward, its massive body blocking the cave entrance. The alien fleet was watching from orbit, observing every move. They were confident that the humans would fail, that they wouldn't be able to tame such a beast. After all, how could a mere human hope to control something so powerful? The Predator's mere presence sent a ripple of unease through the team. They had seen its capabilities in the reports, its speed, its strength, its intelligence. It was a force of nature. No human could stand against it. And yet, Luke did not flinch. The creature charged at him with terrifying speed, its claws scraping the stone floor, its massive jaws snapping open, ready to tear him apart. The rest of the team braced themselves, preparing for the worst. But Luke stood his ground, unwavering. He didn't reach for his weapon, didn't try to run. Instead, he opened his arms, standing tall, his posture calm and unafraid. The Predator's charge slowed as it neared him. It hesitated, its glowing eyes narrowing as it studied the human before it. For a brief moment, time seemed to stop. The team watched in awe, unsure of what was happening. The alien fleet above was surely watching too, and they must have been just as confused. Was this some kind of human foolishness? Could they really be attempting to tame such a powerful creature with nothing more than their own will? Luke didn't speak. He didn't need to. He wasn't using words, but something deeper, something more primal. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, feeling the pulse of the planet around him, the life force, the energy that flowed through every rock, every plant, every creature. He wasn't just a soldier in that moment. He was connected to the world itself. He reached out, not with his hands, but with his emotions, sending a wave of calm and respect toward the Predator. The creature stopped just a few feet away from Luke, its massive body still, its eyes locked onto his. It tilted its head slightly, as though it were trying to understand. There was a tension in the air, thick enough to cut through. The rest of the team watched in silence, their hearts pounding. They had no idea what was happening, but they could feel the power of the moment. This wasn't a fight. It was something else entirely. The Predator took a slow step forward, its eyes never leaving Luke's. It sniffed the air around him, its massive nostrils flaring. Luke didn't move, didn't speak, but the connection between them grew stronger. He felt the creature's curiosity, its confusion. It had been bred for destruction, for domination, but there was something in Luke's calm presence that seemed to halt its natural instincts. It wasn't a challenge. It was a call for understanding. For a long moment, the Predator remained still, studying the human before it. Then, with a soft rumble in its throat, the creature lowered its head slightly. Its glowing eyes dimmed, and for the first time since the humans had set foot on the planet, there was silence. The tension that had gripped the team seemed to lift, but they couldn't fully understand what had just happened. Luke hadn't killed the creature, hadn't fought it off. He had simply communicated with it, using emotions, using gestures, using something that transcended words. The alien fleet above was stunned. From their vantage point, they couldn't see what had just occurred. They had expected the Predator to rip the humans apart, to crush their hopes of success. Instead, they were witnessing something entirely different, something they couldn't explain. Luke stepped back slowly, never breaking eye contact with the Predator. The rest of the team followed suit, unsure of what to do but trusting Luke's judgment. They had come here to tame the beast, but they hadn't expected it to be so human. The Predator, still watching them with those glowing eyes, did not attack. Instead, it seemed to consider them, its massive form looming over them, but no longer a threat. It was as though the creature had been given a choice, a chance to understand something beyond its programming, beyond its purpose as a weapon of destruction, and for the first time in its existence, it hesitated. Luke's plan was working, against all odds. He had connected with the beast, tamed it not through force, but through something far more powerful, understanding. The team stood in awe, their minds racing with the implications. They had succeeded in their first step, but the real test was yet to come. Would this Predator truly help them in their fight against the alien invaders, or had they only opened a door to a new set of challenges? The alien fleet, watching from above, was no longer so confident. They had underestimated humanity's resolve. And now, the world would never be the same. The bond between Luke and the apex predator grew stronger by the minute. As the massive creature stood before him, its glowing eyes watching Luke intently, he slowly extended his hand. His movements were calm and deliberate, not threatening in the least. He reached out to stroke the creature's enormous head, the rough, metallic surface of its scales cold under his touch. The predator hesitated at first, but then, as if recognizing something in Luke's presence, it lowered its head slightly. Accepting the touch, this was no ordinary interaction. This was a connection, a shared understanding. Luke had always believed that there was more to strength than just brute force. It wasn't just about who had the bigger weapons or the superior technology. It was about understanding, respect, and the will to live. As his hand gently caressed the predator's head, Luke could feel something change. The creature, once an unstoppable force of nature bred for destruction, seemed to soften. Its glowing eyes dimmed slightly, no longer filled with rage and bloodlust. Instead, they became calmer, more focused. The predator, sensing Luke's determination, seemed to understand. With a deafening roar, it charged forward, its massive claws tearing through the alien forces. Luke, rallying the remaining soldiers, led the charge alongside it. The battle was fierce, but the humans' resolve, combined with the apex predator's unmatched power, began to turn the tide once more. The aliens, realizing they were losing, began to retreat, their forces scattering in disarray. As the dust settled, Luke stood at the forefront, his heart heavy with loss, but filled with a sense of triumph. They had fought back, had defied the odds, and had proven that humanity's strength lay not just in their weapons or technology, but in their hearts, their will to survive, and their unwavering spirit. But the victory came at a cost. The human soldiers had lost friends, had sacrificed everything, and they knew that the war was far from over. The real battle had just begun. Would the apex predator continue to fight by their side? Would humanity's emotional strength be enough to defeat the alien forces? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain. The humans had proven that, no matter what the universe threw at them, they would always find a way to fight back. The alien forces were preparing for their final assault on Earth. After months of battle, the aliens believed they had crushed the human resistance. They thought that humanity was broken, that they had successfully defeated the small pockets of survivors who had fought against them. The alien fleets were ready to strike the final blow, but they underestimated one thing: the human spirit. The human team, now joined by the apex predator, was not about to give up. They had made it through so much already, and now they had a chance to turn the tide in the most dangerous battle humanity had ever faced. With their bond with the apex predator, they were no longer the weak species the aliens thought they were. They had found strength in each other, and they were about to show the aliens just how wrong they were. The human team knew that their only chance to stop the alien forces was to infiltrate their fleet, destroy their technology, and cripple their ability to strike Earth. The predator, now fully aligned with the humans, was an unstoppable force on the battlefield. Its enormous form, once a terrifying weapon of destruction, was now humanity's most powerful ally. As the team made their way toward the alien fleet, the predator rampaged through the alien troops. Its claws tore through metal and flesh alike, cutting down soldiers and machines with brutal efficiency. There was no escape, no place to hide. The aliens were caught off guard by the sheer power of the predator, and they began to falter under its onslaught. The humans, using cloaking devices to avoid detection, infiltrated the alien ships. They moved through the shadows, silent and deadly, closing in on their targets. The cloaking devices gave them a significant advantage, allowing them to slip past security and enter the heart of the alien fleet undetected. But this didn't mean the battle was over. The humans had to face off against AI soldiers, robots, and alien generals who were determined to stop them at any cost. The tension was palpable as the humans moved swiftly and decisively, eliminating enemy forces one by one in close quarters combat. Luke, leading the charge, was in his element. He had trained for moments like this, moments when the odds were stacked against him, and he had to rely on everything he had learned to survive. The humans fought with everything they had, knowing that if they failed, Earth would be lost. But they weren't fighting alone. The apex predator, a symbol of the strength that came from unity, fought alongside them. Its massive form ripped through the alien soldiers, tearing through the advanced robotics with ease. There was no stopping it. Every time an alien tried to strike back, the predator was there, blocking the attack or retaliating with even more force. The heart of the alien fleet was a fortress, a heavily guarded command center. It was there that the final battle would take place. The human team knew they had no choice but to breach this stronghold if they wanted to end the alien invasion for good. But they also knew it wouldn't be easy. The alien generals, trained for combat and equipped with the most advanced technology, awaited them. The humans had to use everything at their disposal: guerrilla tactics, technology, and the raw power of their new ally, the apex predator. The final showdown was intense. Explosions rocked the walls as the human team fought their way deeper into the heart of the command center. Every corner they turned, every door they opened, brought them face to face with more alien soldiers. But the team pushed forward, driven by the knowledge that the fate of their world rested in their hands. They fought not just for their own survival, but for the survival of every human being on Earth. At the heart of the fortress stood the alien flagship, a massive ship that controlled the entire alien fleet. If they could destroy it, they could bring an end to the invasion. But it wouldn't be easy. The flagship was heavily defended, and the alien generals knew what was at stake. The humans had one chance, and they couldn't afford to fail. Luke and his team formulated a plan. It would require precision, speed, and sacrifice. They knew that in order to succeed, they would have to work together as never before. The predator would be their weapon, but the humans would need to use their wits and their technology to infiltrate the flagship's defenses. They planted explosive charges around key areas, and as they moved deeper into the heart of the ship, the stakes grew higher. The first wave of explosions sent shockwaves through the flagship, but the alien generals were prepared. They retaliated with overwhelming force, sending wave after wave of soldiers to stop the humans. The humans fought back fiercely, but they knew they were running out of time. Each explosion, each battle, pushed them closer to the edge of exhaustion. But they couldn't stop. They had come too far to turn back now. In the midst of the battle, the humans faced a tough decision. The explosives were set, but there was still one more obstacle standing between them and victory. The core of the alien flagship, where the central command and control system lay. To destroy it, they would need to plant the final charge and make their way to the escape point. But there was no time left. The alien forces were closing in, and the humans knew they wouldn't make it out alive unless they acted fast. Luke made the decision. He would stay behind to plant the final charge and ensure the destruction of the alien flagship. It was a sacrifice he was willing to make. He knew that the survival of his team, the survival of humanity, depended on this final act. His team tried to protest, but Luke's determination was unshakable. He told them to go, to complete their mission and escape. He would hold the line. With one final look at his comrades, Luke ran toward the core of the flagship. The alien forces were closing in, but he fought through them, each step bringing him closer to the heart of the ship. He planted the final charge and set the timer. It was time to leave. As the humans made their way to the escape point, the predator fought alongside them, holding off the alien forces to give them a chance to escape. The final moments were filled with chaos as the humans raced against time, knowing that if they didn't make it out, they would die with the flagship. But they had come too far to stop now. They couldn't let Luke's sacrifice be in vain. The final explosion rocked the flagship, sending a shockwave through the entire alien fleet. The alien forces, stunned by the sudden destruction, were thrown into disarray. The flagship was gone, and with it, the heart of the alien invasion. The humans, now safe aboard their escape ship, watched as the alien fleet fell apart, their technology failing and their forces scattering. The battle for Earth was over. But the victory came at a heavy cost. Luke was gone, and many others had fallen in the fight. The humans had won, but they had paid a price. The apex predator, now their ally, stood beside them, a silent reminder of the power of unity and sacrifice. The battle for Earth had been won, but the war was far from over. The humans had proven that they could overcome anything, even the most impossible odds. The universe would never forget the strength of humanity's spirit. The battle had raged for hours, with explosions shaking the very foundations of the alien fleet. The human team, led by Luke, had done the impossible. They had taken on the might of the alien invaders, fought their way through waves of enemies, and managed to destroy the heart of the alien fleet. The flagship was gone, and with it, the central command structure that had controlled the invasion. The once powerful alien forces were now in chaos, scattered across the galaxy, unable to regroup. The humans had proven their strength, and their victory was nothing short of miraculous. But it wasn't just the power of their weapons or technology that had won the day. It was the unbreakable spirit of humanity. Even when the odds were stacked against them, when everything seemed lost, the human team had fought with everything they had. And it was this courage, this determination, that had driven them to victory. The Predator, once a terrifying enemy and now a loyal ally, stood proudly beside the humans. Its massive form, scared from battle, was a symbol of the bond they had formed through shared struggles. The Predator had fought with them, torn through alien forces, and protected them when it mattered most. It had become more than just a beast. It had become a part of their team, their family. And in the end, its loyalty to humanity was unquestionable. As the final remnants of the alien fleet retreated, the humans stood victorious. The skies above Earth, once darkened by the alien ships, were now clear. The invaders had been driven off, and the Earth was safe. But the victory came with a heavy price. The human team had lost many of their own, and Luke, standing among the wreckage of the battlefield, could feel the weight of their sacrifice. Bonner's death, in particular, haunted him. The young soldier had given his life to save the team, and it was this selfless act that had allowed them to succeed. Luke felt the loss deeply. He had always believed that a soldier's life was worth something, that their sacrifices mattered. But standing there, looking at the destruction around him, he realized how much it cost to protect those you loved. Bonner's sacrifice had been the turning point, the catalyst that had sparked the human team's final push. The Predator, sensing Luke's pain, walked over to him. It didn't speak, of course. It couldn't. But it stood by his side, silently acknowledging the bond they shared. Luke reached out and placed a hand on the Predator's massive head, feeling its warm breath against his fingers. In that moment, he realized that the Predator had become more than just a beast of war. It had become a friend, a companion, and a symbol of the strength that came from unity. As the alien fleet retreated and the battlefield quieted, Luke took one last look at the destruction around him. His team had fought valiantly, but they were gone. The victory was theirs, but the cost was high. He could feel the absence of his fallen comrades, especially Bonner, whose sacrifice had saved them all. He would carry their memory with him, knowing that their efforts had led to this moment. Earth was safe, but it had come at the price of so many lives. The alien forces, now licking their wounds, would never forget the mistake they had made by underestimating humanity. The galaxy had watched as the humans fought back, showing a strength that no one had expected. The aliens had believed Earth to be weak, a backwater planet with no real defense against their advanced technology. They had thought they could crush humanity easily, but they had been wrong. In the end, humanity had risen above their expectations. The aliens had seen the humans' resilience, their ability to adapt, and their unwavering determination to protect what was theirs. They had underestimated the power of the human spirit, and that mistake would haunt them for a long time. The twist came as the human team, now weary but victorious, prepared to return to Earth. The Predator, once a savage killer, now stood with them as a symbol of their triumph. It was more than just an animal. It was proof of humanity's ability to tame even the most fearsome of foes. And as they returned to Earth, they realized something important. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. No longer would they be considered weak or primitive. The humans had shown that they could not only survive in the face of overwhelming odds, but also conquer those who thought themselves invincible. As the alien ships retreated into the depths of space, the humans knew that their victory had changed everything. Earth had been saved, but humanity had gained something much greater than just a win. They had earned respect, and with that respect came a new place in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer just a species to be mocked. They were now the new apex predators. In the aftermath of the battle, the galaxy would remember the humans' bravery and determination. The aliens would spread the word of how the humans had fought back, how they had won against impossible odds, and how they had done what no one else could do: defeat the mighty alien forces. The humans had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with, and no one would forget the lessons learned from this battle. Luke, standing among the wreckage, looked toward the horizon. The battle was over, but the war was not. There would always be new challenges, new threats, and new battles to fight. But for now, Earth was safe. The Predator, his loyal ally, stood beside him, a reminder of everything they had fought for. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that no matter what came next, humanity was ready. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. The final twist of this journey was clear. Humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. The galaxy had learned to fear the humans, and they would never make the same mistake again. They were the new apex predators, and the universe would have to reckon with them. The Predator's loyalty to humanity was not just a symbol of victory. It was a warning to anyone who dared challenge them. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready for whatever came next.